Do you even have a goal? Not a dream, not a wish, not some blurry picture of success you tell people when they ask, but a real defined goal that burns inside you every single day. Most people don't. They think they do because they've repeated a few nice words in their head, but deep down, they're lost. They wake up without direction, scroll through distractions, chase quick dopamine hits, and convince themselves they're moving somewhere. But if you stopped them and asked, "Where exactly are you going?" they wouldn't know. They'd pause, stutter, and hide behind excuses like, "I'm figuring it out," or "I'm just taking my time." The truth is, you're not figuring it out, you're drifting, and life has no mercy on drifters. Every day you don't know your target, you become someone else's pawn, working for someone else's dream, feeding someone else's system. You waste hours, days, and years doing things that don't matter because you've never defined what actually does. You think you're waiting for motivation, but motivation never comes to those who don't have clarity. You're not tired of work, you're tired of wandering. You're not lazy, you're directionless. That's why you feel empty even when you're busy. Look at your life right now. Every habit, every thought, every decision, it's all leading somewhere. But if you don't know where that somewhere is, you'll wake up one day realizing you've been running in circles. Most people live like this forever. They spend their energy trying to look successful instead of becoming it. They chase comfort, not purpose. They mistake movement for progress and end up exhausted with nothing real to show for it. And the cruel part, the world rewards that illusion, likes attention, validation. They trick you into believing you're doing something meaningful. But deep down, you know you're not. So ask yourself honestly, if I stripped away your phone, your job, your friends, your distractions, what's left? What do you wake up for? What's the one thing that makes your blood move, that gives meaning to your struggle, that would make all the pain worth it? If you can't answer that clearly, then your problem isn't motivation. It's that you're living without direction. You're not alive with purpose, you're surviving with noise. But here's the truth that should shake you awake. The moment you define your goal, everything changes. Your energy sharpens, your time gains weight. Every distraction starts to feel disgusting because it steals from what you truly want. You start walking with intent, not wandering confusion. You stop chasing fake pleasure and start chasing real power. And that feeling, the clarity of knowing where you're going, is addictive. It's freedom. It's peace. So don't just exist. Don't pretend you have a goal because it sounds good. If you can't describe your goal in one clear sentence, you don't have one. And until you do, life will keep passing you by, quietly, ruthlessly, and without waiting for you to wake up. Look at yourself for a moment, not the version you show the world, but the one that exists in silence when no one's watching. Who are you when the noise stops? Who are you without the mask of confidence, without the filters, without the distractions that hide your confusion? Most people never stop long enough to find out. They're terrified of silence because silence exposes truth. It shows them how lost they've become, how far they've drifted from the person they were meant to be. They keep themselves busy because it's easier to drown in noise than to face the emptiness inside. You say you want success, but can you sit alone without touching your phone for 10 minutes? Can you stare into the mirror without feeling disgusted by the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be? That discomfort you feel, it's not weakness. It's your potential begging you to wake up, but you've trained yourself to ignore it. You scroll when you feel pain. You talk when you should reflect. You laugh when you should question. You've built a life where distraction is your escape and honesty is your enemy. And as long as you run from truth, you'll never find purpose. Every person reaches a breaking point where pretending no longer works. The noise loses its effect. The distractions stop numbing the pain. That's when the mirror becomes unavoidable. You either face who you are or keep decaying in denial. The mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your excuses, your circumstances, or your past. It reflects the raw truth. Every promise you broke to yourself, every time you gave up, every dream you abandoned because it got hard. And the longer you avoid it, the louder that truth becomes until it screams in your mind every night you can't sleep. Facing yourself is brutal. It's supposed to be. Growth starts where comfort ends. You'll feel shame, regret, anger. But those emotions are signs of life. They mean you still care. They mean the real you is still inside, waiting to be rebuilt. The weak version of you, the one that avoids effort and fears failure, has been controlling your life for too long. You've let comfort poison your ambition. You've let fear silence your potential. But that can end the moment you decide to stop lying. The most powerful transformation begins with honesty. Look in the mirror and say, "I'm not who I should be, but I will become it." That single moment of truth is where everything changes. No fake confidence, no pretending, just raw accountability. Because when you finally stop lying to yourself, the world can no longer lie to you. You'll see reality clearly for the first time. And from that moment forward, every step you take will be real. Painful, yes, but pure powerful, and finally your own. Now that you've faced yourself, the question becomes simple. What do you truly want? Not what sounds impressive, not what looks good online, but what your soul actually craves when you're brutally honest. Most people never ask this question because it demands vulnerability. It forces you to peel away every layer of false desire built by family, society, and fear. It demands that you admit what you really want, even if it scares you, because somewhere inside you already know. You've always known. You just buried it under expectations, comparison, and the noise of other people's dreams. The truth is, your heart already whispers your goal every day, but you ignore it. You silence it with logic, with doubt, with what ifs. You tell yourself it's unrealistic. You convince yourself you're not ready. You choose comfort over calling. Yet every time you betray that inner voice, a part of you dies quietly. That's why you feel restless even when life looks fine on the surface. You're not broken. You're unfulfilled. You've built a life that pleases everyone but you. Clarity is painful, but it's also freedom. You must strip everything down until only truth remains. Ask yourself, what drives me? What vision excites me so much it scares me? What outcome would make every sacrifice worth it? Don't filter your answers. Don't think about how or when. Just speak the truth. Because once you name your goal, everything shifts. The mind loves direction. The moment you define your target, your focus sharpens. Distractions start to lose their flavor. Procrastination begins to feel heavy. You start to crave progress because you finally know what progress looks like. Real goals aren't fantasies. They're commitments. They demand clarity, and clarity demands courage. You must choose something so specific it forces you to grow into the kind of person capable of achieving it. That's why most people avoid it. They don't want to face the gap between where they are and where they want to be. But that gap is the only place transformation happens. It's supposed to feel impossible at first. That's the signal you've chosen something real. The moment you define your goal, life stops being random. Every morning becomes a test. Every choice becomes a vote for the future you claim to want. You start cutting away the unnecessary, deleting the meaningless, rejecting the comfortable. You stop chasing pleasure and start chasing power. The power to control yourself. And as you align your thoughts and actions with your goal, you feel a new kind of energy. Raw, steady, unshakable. This is where purpose begins, when you stop running from your truth and decide to build around it. Because clarity creates momentum, and momentum creates strength. The question is no longer, what do I want? It becomes, what am I willing to do for it? That's when the fire starts to burn, and this time, it doesn't fade. Once you've chosen your goal, the real battle begins. The war between who you are and who you must become. Motivation will not save you here. Discipline will. This is where most people fall apart because they believe emotion creates progress. But emotions are temporary. Discipline is permanent. It's the act of doing what must be done long after the excitement is gone. When your body resists, when your mind begs for rest, when everything inside you screams to stop, that's when the real growth starts. Every time you push through that wall, you're not just moving closer to your goal, you're rewiring your identity. The brain is built for comfort. It seeks the familiar. It rewards the easy. But every great transformation happens when you challenge that wiring. Each disciplined action, waking up earlier, focusing longer, pushing harder, creates a new pattern. Slowly, the pain becomes purpose. The resistance becomes strength. You start to crave the struggle because it's proof you're evolving. The world will tell you to rest, to slow down, to balance. But balance is for those who have already built something. You're still building. You're still earning your peace. Right now, your life demands war. There will be days you feel empty. Days where nothing seems to move. You'll question if it's even worth it. You'll crave comfort again, and your mind will whisper lies. Maybe this isn't for me. That's not truth. That's weakness disguised as logic. Your emotions are not your guide. They're your greatest test. The moment you act in spite of them, you win. Because discipline is not about feeling ready. It's about doing it anyway. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, you carve power into your soul. The most dangerous version of you is the one who shows up regardless of emotion. That's the person who can't be manipulated by laziness, distraction, or doubt. That's the person who turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Discipline doesn't just build habits, it builds respect for yourself. You begin to trust your own word. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop needing motivation because your standards take over. And when standards rise, life follows. Understand this, your goal is not waiting for permission. It's waiting for proof. Proof that you are serious. Proof that you'll sacrifice comfort for progress. Proof that you can follow through when it hurts. You can't fake discipline. You either do the work or you don't. Every skipped day is a message to your future that says, I wasn't ready. Every completed day is a declaration that says, I'm becoming unstoppable. So when your mind tells you to quit, remind yourself, discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. It's the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. The pain you feel today is the price of pride tomorrow. Stay the course, do the work. And never forget, the struggle you hate is building the strength you'll need to win. There comes a point where the noise fades and only silence remains. The grind stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like peace. You begin to understand that chasing your goal was never just about achievement. It was about evolution. You no longer need to prove anything. You're not doing it for validation, recognition, or applause. You're doing it because purpose has become oxygen. It's no longer a choice, it's who you are. This is the calm that follows the storm, the quiet confidence of someone who has paid the price and earned their strength. The outside world still moves in chaos, but inside, you found order. Living with purpose doesn't mean living with pressure. It means you finally understand the difference between movement and meaning. You stop chasing what's urgent and start chasing what's important. You no longer waste your time trying to be everything for everyone. You focus, you simplify, you operate with precision. Every thought, every action, every moment begins to serve your goal. You're not reacting anymore. You're creating. You move like someone who knows exactly where they're going, and that energy becomes magnetic. This state of being can't be faked. It's born from discipline, forged through struggle, and polished by solitude. You've faced your fears, silenced your doubts, and built yourself through repetition. Now, you carry a quiet power, a power that doesn't need to shout because its presence speaks louder than words. You no longer chase attention, you attract respect. You don't explain your vision, you embody it. That's the difference between those who talk about change and those who become it. When you live like this, distractions lose their grip. The same things that used to tempt you now feel meaningless. The short-term highs that once consumed your attention can't touch you anymore because you've tasted something deeper: purpose. And purpose changes everything. It gives pain a reason. It gives struggle a direction. It transforms every failure into fuel. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "This is shaping me." That's when you realize nothing can break you anymore because everything now serves you. True peace isn't found in rest, it's found in alignment. When your actions match your values, when your effort matches your ambition, when your purpose matches your identity, you become unstoppable. You start to see that success was never about money, fame, or status. It was always about self-respect, about waking up every morning knowing you're living deliberately, not accidentally. You've stopped surviving and started living with intent. So stand tall in your silence. Move with purpose. Guard your peace. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You've already done what most people never will. You found your goal, faced yourself, built discipline, and created meaning. Don't just exist. Don't just talk about change. Live like your life depends on it, because it does. When you reach this level of clarity, something inside you shifts forever. You stop searching for shortcuts because you finally understand there are none. You stop begging for motivation because you've learned how to create it. You move through the world with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. You've stopped chasing the illusion of success and started mastering the reality of self-control. That's the true mark of strength. When your peace can't be stolen, your focus can't be broken, and your standards can't be lowered by anyone. You become the kind of person who moves differently, not because life got easier, but because you got harder to break. This is where most people give up, because this level of peace feels foreign. It's not built on constant excitement or external validation. It's built on self-respect. You've learned that your power doesn't come from what you have, but from what you can control. And control begins with you. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. The same mind that once made excuses now makes decisions. The same fear that once held you back now fuels your movement. The same pain that once broke you now reminds you how far you've come. That's the reward of discipline. Transformation from within. You no longer crave attention because you've realized the world only respects results. You no longer explain yourself because your actions speak with precision. You no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your worth because you've proven it to yourself through persistence. That's when you truly win, the moment your validation stops depending on others. You become untouchable. Your silence becomes strength, your patience becomes power, and your consistency becomes your legacy. You stop fighting for recognition and start fighting for mastery. The truth is, most people won't understand you anymore. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. You've evolved. You've detached from everything that used to keep you weak. You've traded comfort for purpose, approval for alignment, and pleasure for progress. You don't need to be understood. You need to be consistent. Because in the end, success isn't about who believes in you. It's about who refuses to stop believing in themselves. This is what it means to live with purpose, to wake up every day and move with conviction. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove. You just need to keep building. One disciplined action at a time, one silent victory at a time, until the life you once dreamed of becomes the life you live. So keep going. Keep sharpening your focus. Keep walking your path with strength and stillness. Because when you have a goal that defines your existence, you don't chase meaning, you become it. And when you become it, the world has no choice but to follow.